Hi, and in this Tips and Tricks HQ tutorial, we'll be taking a look at how your PayPal payment credentials can be obtained from the PayPal developer account. The credentials needed to process a payment through one of our TTHQ plugins with PayPal include the Live and Sandbox client IDs and secret keys. For the purpose of this tutorial, I'll be using the WP Express Checkout plugin settings interface to paste my Live and Sandbox client IDs and secret keys, although this same method can be used for all plugins that require PayPal API credentials. To complete this tutorial, you need to go and log into your PayPal developer account. So that's developer.paypal.com, and then once you're in here, we'll need to click on the Apps and Credentials menu. We'll need to create our Sandbox and our Live API credentials, so you'll need to toggle between them, but we'll start by creating our Live credentials. So just make sure you've toggled across to Live, and then you can go and click the Create App button. From here, you'll need to name the app that you're going to create. So name it something meaningful and perhaps where that app will be used. So mine will be used for the WP Express Checkout plugin. So I'll name it something along those lines so that when I see this app, I don't go and delete it, because I'll know that I'm using these Live and then the Sandbox credentials within that app. I've gone ahead and I've named it, and you can follow that by clicking the Create App button. So now I've been taken to the page where I've created my Live credentials, and I can see my client ID. So this will be my Live client ID. And then I can click the Show button to show my Live secret key. So we've now created two pieces of information that we need, but don't forget, if you'd like to do Sandbox testing, we'll also need to complete the next step where we get our Sandbox API credentials. So just make sure you click that Show button, and that will reveal your secret key there. So you've got those two pieces of information, and you can copy them directly into the plugin of your choosing. In this example, I'll be using the WP Express Checkout plugin, but you might be following this tutorial using a different plugin where you accept PayPal payments, and you might need your Live API credentials for that plugin. So I'd copy my client ID. Now this is my Live client ID. And then I'd paste it straight into the Live client ID field of my WP Express Checkout plugins settings menu. So if you are using the WP Express Checkout plugin, you can just follow along and do exactly as I do. If you're using a different plugin, just look for the field where it is asking for your PayPal credentials and then your Live client ID. I'll then need to go back and copy my Live secret key and paste that in here. So I've headed back to my PayPal developer dashboard where I'm going to copy in my secret key, and I'd paste in my Live secret key right here. It's a simple process, and it's the same process to get your Sandbox client ID and Sandbox secret key. The only difference is when we create them, we'll need to make sure in our developer dashboard that we are in that Sandbox mode, not the Live mode. We've now copied our Live PayPal credentials into the application of our choosing. We'll go back to Apps and Credentials, and from here, I'll toggle across to Sandbox. So it'll give you a little note at the top that you're in Sandbox mode. Ensure that you're in Sandbox mode before you complete the next creation of an app, and then we'll grab those Sandbox client IDs and secret keys and paste them in. So I'll click the Create App button, just make sure it's on Merchant, and again, give your app a meaningful name. So I'll just name mine the same one for my Sandbox ones, and then you can create app again. So just like before, you will create your app and you'll be given your client ID, and then you'll be able to reveal your secret key. So it's these two pieces of information that are needed for PayPal Sandbox testing. So again, I'll copy my client ID, paste that into the Sandbox client ID field, then I'll head back and I'll grab my secret key. It's just a matter of copy and paste. Just make sure you get the entire secret key and the entire client ID, and then back here, paste it in. So it's quite a simple process to get those four pieces of information from your PayPal developer account. If you are using the WP Express Checkout plugin and you intend on doing live transactions, just make sure you have the checkbox ticked so that you can have customers come to your site and proceed with a transaction. I'll leave mine unchecked for now, as I'll just be running some Sandbox transactions. Once you've added your 4 pieces of information, so your live client ID, live secret key, Sandbox client ID, and Sandbox secret key, into your WP Express checkout settings menu or the plugin that you are using, you'll need to scroll down and just make sure you save those changes at the bottom there. So then that will be implemented and it will use those PayPal credentials. That brings us to the end of this tutorial on locating live and Sandbox client IDs and secret keys that are needed to run PayPal transactions on any site.